This is a full 360-degree video. Drag the picture with a mouse or swipe on a phone and look in every direction. The guide, snow vehicle, or tunnel entrance may be behind you. Now, would you believe that beneath this endless Icelandic ice field lies a chapel where real weddings have taken place? We are about to ride a former NATO vehicle through a whiteout and into the living heart of Langjökull. Standing in the center of the cabin is the Icelandic guide leading us today. She begins by joking about her beautifully difficult Icelandic name, then tells everyone to buckle up. The climb is rough, and seat belts are required by Icelandic law. Behind that easy smile is a university student of political science, with the confidence to imagine running for president one day. Iceland elected the world's first woman to become president through a democratic national election, so her ambition does not sound impossible here. The moment the door opens, Iceland changes character. Wind drives the snow sideways, and people only a few steps away begin to fade into white. Everyone pulls on a protective suit, checks gloves and traction cleats, and steps carefully onto the exposed highland ice. Soft snow can hide a hard, wet surface underneath, so this is no place to walk while staring only at a phone. Drag the 360-degree view behind you. The giant vehicle, hurried travelers, and melting drops on the lens all prove that this storm is not a special effect. Do not let this white horizon convince you that Iceland was always nothing but snow. When Norse settlers arrived roughly 1,000 years ago, the inhabited lowlands and river valleys were milder, with broad areas of native birch woodland and scrub. Later cooling, especially during the Little Ice Age, made life harsher. Clearing for farms and fuel, followed by centuries of grazing, also stripped away much of the green cover. The greener Iceland of settlement history refers mainly to habitable lowlands, not to this high ice cap. The metal arch almost buried in snow is our entrance into the glacier. Langjökull means long glacier in Icelandic. It is Iceland's second largest ice cap, covering more than 800 square kilometers. Its surface rises to roughly 1,440 meters, while the thickest ice reaches about 580 meters. The cap rests over complex volcanic highlands and drains outward through several glacier outlets. What lies beneath us is not a motionless block, but a vast white dome flowing slowly in several directions. This first corrugated passage acts like a protective sleeve reaching from the blizzard into the ice. The cave beyond is not natural. Engineers began excavating it in 2014, and it opened to visitors after more than a year of work. The main loop is about 400 meters long, with entrances and side passages bringing the total close to 500. Roughly 5,500 cubic meters of ice were removed. The operator calls it the world's largest man-made ice tunnel, yet size is not its strangest feature. Unlike stone architecture, its walls flow, squeeze inward, crack, and melt, so construction never truly ends. As the metal structure falls behind us, we finally step into the glacier itself. Lamps illuminate only a short section ahead, while the distance becomes a black corridor with no visible ending. Footsteps on wet ice echo between the curved walls. The tunnel sits tens of meters below the surface, with a great thickness of ice still underfoot. Pressure from above never stops, and tiny fractures and streams alter the chamber every day. The ceiling lowers and the walls deform as the glacier moves, so crews must repeatedly survey, cut, drain, and reinforce the passage simply to keep it open. Once the entrance disappears, the ice reveals a surprising range of color: milky white, charcoal gray, turquoise, and places that look almost like glass. Fresh snow appears white because it holds countless tiny air bubbles. As layers are compressed, much of that air is driven out, allowing light to travel farther through the ice. Red wavelengths are absorbed more readily, while blue light survives the journey back to our eyes. In the clearest sections, trapped bubbles, fine sediment, and delicate lines resemble an abstract painting without a frame. This blue is not simply colored lighting. It is the ice answering the light. Langjökull is also an enormous highland reservoir. Surface meltwater enters cracks, travels through the ice, and may reach the glacier bed before seeping into porous volcanic rock. Underground, it is filtered and carried toward rivers, springs, and Iceland's remarkably clear fissure waters. This apparently empty white plateau is continuously sending life far beyond the horizon. Water moving south from the direction of Langjökull toward Thingvellir may spend 20 or 30 years underground. A drop vanishing here today could meet sunlight again decades later, emerging from a distant spring. This film follows a biblical chronology drawn from scriptural genealogies, using a historical framework of roughly 5,000 years. From that faith perspective, these layers record rapid climate adjustment after the flood, snow-compacted season after season, and the warmer and colder phases of the last millennium. Ice is not silent. It preserves wind, water, snow, and dust, one layer at a time. The guide is pointing to two brown bands in the wall. She says a glacier can be red almost like a tree. Winter snow covers the surface. In summer, wind carries sand, soil, and sometimes volcanic ash across the ice. When the next snowfall arrives, that darker material is sealed inside and becomes a marker of the season. Not every black band represents an eruption. More often, it is simply the signature left behind when wind crossed this place, before another white layer covered the evidence.
So welcome everyone to our chapel.
Around the next corner, the tunnel suddenly opens. Welcome to its most improbable room, the Glacier Chapel. There are no brick walls, stained glass windows, or permanent roof. Only a vault of ice, a wet floor, and rows of simple wooden benches. Weddings have been held here, and more than one visitor has dropped to one knee to propose beneath the ice. The guide remembers one bride in particular. Everyone else enters the tunnel wearing insulated clothing and traction cleats. But this bride insisted on a full wedding dress and high heels. No crampon could fit beneath those narrow heels, and even an ordinary step on the wet floor became difficult. Remember the modest sleds near the entrance? One was suddenly promoted into a bridal carriage. Her father pulled her through the entire tunnel while her brothers followed behind, lifting the long white train clear of the icy water. The family laughed and took photographs all the way in, like a wedding party wandering into a frozen fairy tale.
Having a great time, and then they came in here. Everyone's very, very happy. And the ceremony started, and the priest started talking.
Then, as the priest began the ceremony, someone noticed that the bride's lips had turned blue. Romance became an emergency. Showing signs of hypothermia, she was placed back on the sled, rushed through the tunnel, and driven down the mountain. Fortunately, there was a warm church at Husafell, where the couple finally completed their wedding. The guide says the bride was still delighted because the adventure produced spectacular pictures for Instagram and Facebook. Everyone in the chapel laughs, but the story carries a serious warning. A glacier may be beautiful enough for a wedding, yet beauty never makes it gentle.
Yeah. Can you lift the wall? No, it's safe.
Next comes what the guide calls a science experiment. Who would like to lick the wall? The room pauses, and then someone really volunteers. At the approved spot, a thin film of meltwater is constantly moving over the ice. The guide explains that a tongue will not stick as it might to a dry metal surface, and the flowing water continually refreshes the area. The brave volunteer takes a careful taste. The verdict could not be simpler. It tastes like water. The guide laughs at a sentence nobody hears very often. Feel free to lick the wall. Naturally, only try it where the guide says it is safe.
Okay. So if you look around, you can maybe see this blue line.
Finally, notice the blue lines in the wall. They are pathways where liquid water follows fractures through the ice. The guide jokingly calls it hot water simply because it has not frozen yet. Some of it may descend all the way to the glacier bed. The ice is moving, the water is moving, and this chapel exists only because the glacier allows it to remain for a while.
You can't go all the way through it, but it